Peace and blessings. Good morning. This is Imakhu. Welcome to another edition of Ashe. And I'm so very pleased to bring you these motivational moments. And, I get a lot of people who ask me questions about how it is that I'm able to keep pressing forward, persevering, in spite of all the challenges I faced in my life. Well, I figured it was time to start sharing a lot of the tips that have worked for me on a daily basis. And, first of all, I've got to tell you, I started my morning by exercising to and with a wonderful show here on Blog Talk Radio called Healthy Sisters Nonstop Daily Workout. Now that is Sisters, S-I-S-T-A-H, apostrophe S. Healthy Sisters Nonstop Daily Workout. It was a joyous thing for me to find it in the wee hours of the morning. I'll be turning 50 on March 16th. That's 5-0. Yes, I'm very excited about it. And, I already have a very active life, but I decided that I needed to step up my metabolism and strengthen my lungs even more so I can be around living a really good life and living well a while longer. And, a lot of people talk about being afraid of getting older. Not me. I embrace it. But the question I always ask myself when I feel stuck and I'm having trouble moving forward is, what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? And that's the question I'm posing to you today. What are you afraid of? Are you boldly living your life? The only thing that limits you is you. And what you believe about a situation, a thing, or yourself is what makes it so. And pretty much whenever I get an idea in my head, I find a way to make it happen. That's just the way that it is. I just decide it's going to be so, and it will be so. But when I find I can't manifest, when I can't make things happen, it's generally because I've got something that's stuck in an energy center in my body, and usually it's based on some either grand or small level of fear. Now, I'm very, very goal-oriented. And as soon as I can identify whatever the fear may be that's holding me back, I analyze it, I meditate on it, I focus on how I'm going to change my thoughts about it, and by doing so, it helps to clear the way for it to happen, because then I'm able to focus on making it so. By the way, there's no chat room for this show. Chat rooms are nice for socializing and networking, but that's not why I'm here. If you need to contact me, you can contact me at Imakhu at Imakhu.com. That's Imakhu at Imakhu.com, or here on Blog Talk Radio. Now, once again, ask yourself, what am I afraid of? A lot of times people are afraid to change situations because they think they can't do any better. In my book, the Calorie Blessings book, New African Words of Wisdom, I share a story about how when I lived in Philadelphia, I was bouncing from apartment to apartment to apartment, and there was one problem after another, and I was just not accepting that this was as good as I could get. So the thing that surprised people was each time I'd turn up with a place that was even better. And the thing that got me, though, the most was that folks would say to me, well, how do you always turn up getting someplace else and then, you get places that are better? I mean, why don't you just settle? I mean, it's hard enough to get a place, and how do you do that? And I would laugh and joke, well, I got it like that. Well, what really surprised me more than anything was that people were insulted when I said I got it like that. It really spoke more to their own level of fear and insecurity, and also resentment about the confidence that they did not have. If you settle, if you decide that you can't do any better with the job that you're in, with where you're living, the goals that you have in your life, if it has been programmed to you to just accept where you are, if you have bought into the notion to just accept where you are, then the first thing you've got to do is change your mind. Now, reprogramming yourself takes a lot of work, an awful lot of work, to change the patterns that even that you have had instilled in you from childhood. Now, a lot of people like to think that things that come easily to folks are just because they have good luck and so forth. Let me tell you something. You have to make your own luck. Surround yourself with people who are positively minded. If you are surrounded by people who have the same I'm just stuck and that's it mentality, then you need to just change your friends. You need to change who you're around. Even on social networks, I spend time on Facebook. It's a wonderful way of being able to communicate with the people that I meet when I tour all year as a performer and also as a lecturer. And it's a good way to find out what people think, how they feel about things, and also to find out what's going on in the world. But if there is somebody who's always focused on being negative, then I drop them, truly. It's one thing if you post problems. I'm not saying that we live in a world where there are no problems. There are problems. Facing the problems, that's part of our growth path. How we face them is quite another thing. I don't believe in putting your head in the sand. I don't. I believe in facing problems square on. The thing is about solutions. What solutions are you talking about? If you're just always talking about all the things that are going on in the world and not coming up with any kind of solutions, then I don't really have any time for you. If you're just wasting time because you feel you can't do any better for yourself, and so you're playing games all the time. I was talking with someone yesterday who basically indicated that when he comes to work, he spends his time just playing computer games. Yet he's wondering how come he can't move forward. If you're spending time playing games, then that means you're not serious about what you want to achieve. And it also means you don't really want to achieve it because, again, it takes work. Also, there are plenty of sources online where you can pull down motivational lectures and motivational videos. Also, be able to create your own programming, if you will. The one thing that I have done is I've created my own music MP3 layered with my own voice, saying again that I will achieve my goals, that I am successful. And hearing it in my own voice is very affirming for me because it reinforces the fact that I believe what I am saying. I knew of an artist who had the dream of having photography seen all over the world. And the first step was to get a major exhibition. Well, I used my contacts and I arranged a solo exhibition for him. Don't you know, he sabotaged himself, so it couldn't happen. A year later, I took another chance. He said he was another place, helped him again with getting another exhibition. This time he wasn't part of a group exhibition. And once again, don't you know, he shot himself in the foot so that way he could not participate. That's based on his fear. And I've seen it over and over again with this individual where he's one of these people who talks a big game, always talking about different people, talking about what this person's doing, what this person's not doing, or he ain't about nothing, she ain't about nothing. But ultimately, I finally came to realize he ain't about nothing either because he's always talking, and when it comes time to put up, he doesn't come through. Where are you with your goals? Are you always talking about your goals? Are you afraid to live your best life? Are you letting somebody else's low expectations of you get the better of you? Or are you being boldly abundant? There is absolutely no shame in living your best life. There is no shame in sharing your gifts with the world. If you are around people who are really giving you the impression that it's better for you, if you're hanging around with them, to minimize who you are, again, you need to find another group to hang around with. Imagine what your best life looks like. I'm always talking about this, living your best life. Tell yourself you deserve it. Focus on where all the negative thoughts came from that you are limiting yourself with. In the Kemetic scriptures, from the book of Amenemope, says, "Pray to the creative force each day as the sun rises, saying, 'Grant me prosperity and health,' and the creative force will give you all you need in life, and you will be safe, from fear. A lot of our fear also comes from being afraid to ask. Be bold enough to ask for what you need. Be bold enough to put that out into the universe. Be bold enough to ignore the negativity around you, because it takes a great deal of strength to be an original person, to be independent of thought, and to not be afraid of what other people think. Be bold enough to live your best life. I am Imakhu. Celebrate today. Celebrate all the best of you that is to come. Ashe, you have the power.